The modern world is designed to steal your peace before you even get out of bed. The moment you open your eyes, 1,000 different voices demand your attention. Your phone wants your focus. Your job wants your energy. Your worries want your peace. If you do not claim your own mind first, the world will gladly claim it for you. We often step into our mornings like victims of our own lives, waiting to see what mood will strike us or what crisis will arise. But true power begins in the quiet dawn. It begins with the words you speak to yourself when nobody else is listening. Master these 5 morning commitments, and you will transform your daily chaos into unshakable clarity. 1. I am the architect of my mind, not the prisoner of my weather. When you first open your eyes, a wave of emotion often hits you before logic can even fully engage. You might wake up with a heavy weight in your chest, an anxious flutter in your stomach, or a profound sense of lethargy dragging you back down into the mattress. The immediate instinct for most people is to attach their entire identity to that fleeting feeling. They say to themselves, I am sad, I am anxious, or I am unmotivated. This is the first and most critical mistake of the day. You are confusing the weather with the sky. Emotions are simply weather patterns moving through your nervous system. They are temporary, shifting, and entirely unpredictable. They are not the core of who you are. The sky remains vast, clear, and perfectly untouched, regardless of whether a violent thunderstorm or a light passing cloud moves across it. The storm does not break the sky. In the same way, you are the expansive sky of awareness, and your morning mood is just a passing storm. When you wake up and instantly believe the heaviness, you kneel before it. You let a temporary chemical state dictate your permanent character for the next 16 hours. A person wakes up feeling irritated, so they speak sharply to their spouse, rushing through their morning routine with a bitter, jagged energy. Another person wakes up feeling insecure, so they shrink into the background at work, avoiding eye contact and holding back their best ideas. Someone else wakes up tired, so they label themselves lazy, abandon their discipline, and let the day slip through their fingers. They allow one uninvited emotion to hijack the driver's seat of their life completely. But a highly trained mind behaves differently. A trained mind notices the irritation and simply says, anger is present. It notices the fear and notes that anxiety has arrived at the door. You must learn to observe the feeling as a temporary visitor, not as a permanent resident, and certainly not as your master. This separation between you and your feelings is where your ultimate power lies. Between the moment a harsh emotion arises and the moment you take action, there is a fraction of a second. In that tiny, microscopic space lies your entire human freedom. The uncontrolled person feels the spark of frustration and immediately burns their own house down. The disciplined person feels the same spark, pauses, and consciously chooses whether or not to strike the match. You do not have to pretend the negative emotion does not exist. Denying your feelings is not strength, it is just another form of self-deception. To feel absolutely everything deeply, to let the storm rage around you, yet still stand completely unshaken in the center of your own life, is the highest form of human strength. Tomorrow morning, when a heavy emotion tries to settle in your bones, take a slow, deliberate breath. Look at the feeling objectively, as if you are studying a curious object in your hand. Ask yourself, who is the one observing this sadness? Who is the one noticing this extreme fatigue? There is the feeling, and then there is the quiet, ancient witness standing behind the feeling. Train yourself to identify strictly with the witness. You can be terrified and still step into the arena with honor. You can feel profound grief and still treat a stranger with exceptional kindness. You can be utterly exhausted and still keep the promise you made to yourself the night before. By reminding yourself that you are the architect of your mind, you put the crown back on the correct head. Emotions are meant to be messengers, bringing you useful information about your internal state and your environment. They were never meant to be kings ruling over your destiny. Fear is just biological data. Anxiety is just misplaced energy looking for an outlet. Anger is just internal heat. When you start your day from the unshakable seat of the observer, you stop being a helpless victim of your own nervous system. You become the conscious director of your reality. Say it silently to yourself, but say it with absolute conviction. I am the architect of my mind, not the prisoner of my weather. 2. I will conquer the hardest truth first to earn my daily freedom. Most people wake up secretly hoping the day will be easy. They open their eyes and immediately pray for a lack of resistance, wishing for smooth roads, minor inconveniences, and agreeable people. This is the entirely wrong prayer. Do not ask for an easy day. Ask for a strong spine. Ask for the razor-sharp focus and the unwavering courage to meet the exact task you have been desperately avoiding. Every single morning, there is one difficult truth, one heavy task, standing firmly between you and the person you claim you want to become. It might be putting on your running shoes when your bedroom is freezing. It might be sitting down in absolute silence to write the first page of a project you have been putting off for months. It might be making a phone call that requires a painful apology. It might be opening your financial statements and finally facing the reality of your debt. The specific task varies drastically from person to person, but the internal resistance feels the same. The body tightens, the mind immediately begins to bargain, and the ego whispers a single, seductive word, later. But listen very carefully to the reality of human psychology. Avoidance is never rest. Avoidance is active suffering with absolutely zero progress. When you push the difficult thing away, it does not magically disappear into the void. It waits. It grows teeth. It follows you into your morning shower. It sits right across from you at the breakfast table. It becomes a heavy, suffocating whisper in your chest that drains your energy throughout the afternoon. By delaying the hardest task, you allow it to cast a dark shadow over every single easy moment of your day. You exhaust your soul fighting the ghost of the work rather than simply doing the work itself. This is why you must attack the beginning of your day. You must conquer the hardest truth first to earn your daily freedom. The morning is when your willpower reservoir is at its absolute fullest. Before the world has had a chance to deplete your mental energy with trivial demands, direct your pristine focus toward the biggest monster in the room. The gate to your true potential does not open for mere desire. It does not care how many motivational books you read or how vividly you imagine a successful future while lying in bed. The gate only opens for raw, undeniable action. When your mind argues for delay, you must reply with immediate execution. When fear asks what happens if you fail, you must answer that you will learn with absolute dignity. When laziness tries to convince you that you deserve physical comfort, you must remind yourself that you deserve psychological freedom much more. Conquering the hard thing first is not an act of cruelty toward yourself. It is the ultimate act of self-rescue. You are reaching through time and saving your future self from the crippling debt of today's procrastination. Once you take the first step, a remarkable psychological shift occurs. The demon that stood 10 feet tall in your imagination shrinks down to a manageable, pitiful size the moment you touch the work with your own two hands. Action destroys anxiety. By finishing the hardest task before the morning is over, the rest of your day transforms. You walk differently. You speak differently. A profound, unshakable lightness enters your spirit because you have already won the defining war of the day. You have earned a quiet, unbreakable self-respect that nobody can take away from you. You can look in the mirror and know, with absolute certainty, that you did not abandon yourself today. Repeat it until you feel utterly embarrassed by your excuses. I will conquer the hardest truth first to earn my daily freedom. 3. My focus is my ultimate currency. I refuse to spend it cheaply. In the modern world, the most fiercely contested battlefield is not for land, gold, or even oil. The ultimate battlefield is your attention. Most people operate under the false assumption that time is their most valuable asset. But having an abundance of time means absolutely nothing if your attention is completely fractured. Wherever your attention goes, your life inevitably follows. If your focus is scattered across 100 meaningless distractions, your life will feel chaotic, empty, and superficial. If your attention is trained, guarded, and directed with intention, your life becomes sharp, powerful, and deeply meaningful. This is why the first hour of your morning is so utterly critical. Sadly, the vast majority of people wake up and immediately hand the keys to their minds over to a glowing piece of glass. Before they have even spoken to their own family, before they have taken a single conscious breath, they let strangers choose their very first emotion of the day. They let terrifying news headlines choose their first fear. They let aggressive marketers dictate their first desire. They let the curated highlight reels of other people's lives dictate their first feeling of crippling insecurity. Imagine that you wake up every single morning holding a pristine, shallow bowl filled with crystal clear water. This water represents your daily reservoir of attention. Every time you check a useless notification, a speck of dirt falls into the bowl. Every time you engage in a bitter, pointless argument online, a drop of poison falls in. Every time you scroll mindlessly through a feed, a tiny crack forms at the bottom of the bowl. By noon, people wonder why they feel entirely drained, anxious, and hollow. They do not realize they spent the entire morning freely giving their life force away to whoever shouted the loudest. You must treat your focus as your ultimate currency. You must refuse to spend it cheaply. The world will always be loud, demanding your immediate reaction to whatever crisis is trending today. But your true purpose, the quiet voice of your own potential, often only whispers. If you train yourself to constantly react to the loud noises, you will completely miss the whisper. You will spend your entire life building someone else's dream while your own lies neglected in the dark. To protect your attention is to practice the lost art of depth. Depth is where all the true rewards of human existence are hidden. Shallow attention only creates shallow work, shallow relationships, and shallow rest. But deep, Unbroken focus creates absolute mastery. It creates profound intimacy with the people you love. It creates art that moves the world. It creates a lasting, unshakable inner peace. Tomorrow morning, build a fortress around your mind. Do not ask what the world is screaming about today. Ask what your own life is requiring of you in this exact moment. Drink your morning coffee and do absolutely nothing else but taste the coffee. Read a single page of a book and give that page your undivided soul. When the modern, overstimulated mind tries to run toward distraction, gently but firmly drag it back to the present moment. Every single time you bring your focus back, you are building the mental muscle of presence. You are reclaiming your territory. A person who can control their own attention becomes incredibly dangerous to the systems that rely on outrage and distraction. They become impossible to manipulate. They look at the chaotic marketplace of the world and simply say no. Tell yourself this every morning, and guard the door to your mind like a warrior. My focus is my ultimate currency. I refuse to spend it cheaply. 4. I will walk among the chaos of others, yet remain anchored in my own peace. A massive portion of your daily suffering does not actually originate from the grand, unavoidable tragedies of life. Instead, it comes from the quiet, insidious way you constantly hand your center over to other people. Think about how easily your emotional state is hijacked. A stranger looks at you coldly, and you instantly lose your inner peace. A colleague fails to reply to an email, and you immediately begin to question your own worth. Someone offers a passing criticism, and your confidence shatters. Someone praises you, and you become drunk on their validation. When your internal reality is dictated entirely by how the external world treats you, you are living like a puppet. You are walking through life with your roots planted firmly in other people's hands, allowing anyone who walks by to pull your strings. This is not freedom. This is emotional slavery. Every single day, you are going to encounter people who are carrying heavy, unresolved storms inside of them. You will meet individuals who are fiercely angry because they are deeply wounded. You will interact with arrogant people because they are terrified of being seen as inadequate. You will cross paths with those who are bitter, cynical, and desperate to drag someone else down into their misery. When these people lash out at you, the natural, untrained instinct is to immediately absorb their chaotic energy and react in kind. You feel the sudden urge to defend yourself, to attack them back, or to prove your inherent value. But if you react unconsciously to every single wounded person who crosses your path, you will spend your entire life bleeding from wounds that are not even yours. True emotional maturity is the ability to practice compassion without becoming a sponge for toxicity. You can be incredibly kind without becoming weak. You can listen to someone's struggles without absorbing their poison. You can offer love without ever needing to beg for it in return. You can be profoundly misunderstood by the people around you without emotionally collapsing. You can face harsh rejection without ever turning around and rejecting yourself. Imagine a towering, ancient tree standing on the edge of a cliff during a violent hurricane. The wind screams, the rain lashes relentlessly against the bark, and the branches may sway wildly in the chaos. But the tree does not hate the wind, nor does it attempt to become the wind. It simply holds its ground. Its roots reach deep into the dark, silent earth, anchoring it completely. You must become that tree. You must learn to witness the swirling chaos of other people's insecurities and refuse to let their storm uproot your spirit. When someone tests you today, and they absolutely will, you must master the space between their action and your reaction. When the difficult customer shouts, when the partner is silent, when the colleague is passive-aggressive, take one single, deliberate breath. In that single breath, the old version of you might desperately want to explode or withdraw. But the trained version of you remembers your morning vow. You realize that the person who can be easily provoked is not powerful at all, they are simply available. True strength is when someone pushes your buttons, and absolutely nothing automatic happens. You choose your response from a place of deep clarity, not from a bleeding wound. Before you step out of your door and mix your energy with the unpredictable world, ground yourself in this unbreakable truth. You cannot control how the world behaves, but you possess absolute sovereignty over how you respond. Say it until it becomes a shield around your mind. I will walk among the chaos of others, yet remain anchored in my own peace. 5. I will breathe deliberate purpose into every ordinary moment. The modern world is deeply infected with a psychological virus called the Sunday myth. We constantly tell ourselves a beautifully tragic lie. We say we will finally be happy when we get the promotion. We will be peaceful when we have a certain amount of money in the bank. We will love ourselves when our bodies look a specific way. We treat the present moment as a frustrating waiting room, a mere obstacle to get through until our real life finally begins. But a person who waits for perfect, flawless conditions to start treating their life with reverence will end up waiting until their final breath. Meaning is not some grand, elusive treasure you stumble upon at the peak of a mountain. Meaning is not magically found. Meaning is actively, deliberately created. It is injected into your reality by the quality of your attention. You can wash a single coffee cup like a sleepwalker, rushing through the chore with resentment, or you can wash that same cup like a person who is profoundly grateful to have warm water and working hands. You can walk to your job like a defeated prisoner, or you can walk with the posture of a warrior entering their daily training ground. You can eat your breakfast while staring blankly at a screen, or you can eat with deep respect for the invisible chain of human effort that brought the food to your plate. The universe is not built from massive, theatrical events. It is built from tiny, invisible acts of discipline. The way you make your bed every morning is a silent conversation with order. The way you speak to yourself in the mirror is a direct conversation with your future. The way you handle a frustrating delay in traffic is a conversation with patience. The way you treat a person who can do absolutely nothing for you is a profound conversation with your own character. There are no truly hidden moments in your life. Your habits are always listening. This does not mean you must force a fake, toxic positivity over your very real struggles. Some mornings are undeniably dark. Some days begin with physical pain. Some bodies wake up exhausted. Some minds wake up carrying the heavy, crushing weight of financial debt, profound grief, or deep loneliness. Do not insult your pain by pretending everything is perfect. Look directly at your hardship with deep respect, and then make the ultimate vow. Tell yourself that even here, even in this fear, even in this uncertainty, even with this tired body, you will not abandon your life. You do not need a grand sign from heaven to give your life dignity. The sign has already arrived. You woke up today. Your lungs are drawing in air. Your heart is stubbornly beating in your chest against all mathematical odds. The door of the day has swung open. What more permission do you possibly need? Do not waste another breath waiting for a better chapter to begin. Tell yourself firmly that you will not wait for life to become perfect before you behave like your life is precious. I will breathe deliberate purpose into every ordinary moment. These 5 powerful concepts are not magic words. You cannot simply read them like a decorative poem and expect your reality to miraculously shift. Words without consistent action are nothing but perfume sprayed over a deep wound. They might smell pleasant for a brief moment, but they offer absolutely no true healing. You must speak these truths, and then you must aggressively live them. You must repeat them every single morning until your nervous system recognizes them as absolute law. You must carry them with you like a hidden sword into the afternoon, especially in the exact moment when the day tests your resolve. Morning wisdom is utterly useless if it evaporates the moment you step out of your front door and face adversity. The real question is not what you tell yourself when the room is perfectly quiet and peaceful. The real question is whether you will remember who you are when the storm hits. Tomorrow morning, before your feet touch the floor, do not rush out of bed like a frightened animal. Sit for one breath. Reclaim your mind. Gather your spirit. Speak your vows. And then, step forward and command your day.